What's up, love bugs? My name is Alexander Love. Thank you so much for tuning into this fucking video. If you need a snack, go ahead and grab that shit right now. If you need something to drink, go ahead and get it right now. If you gotta use the bathroom, pause the video, go to the bathroom, wash your hands, come back, play the video, eat your snack right now. And the video starts now.
Love is a rainbow, rainbow. Your love makes me feel so fine.
Did it work? It worked. Okay, good. Thank you guys for tuning into my channel. But please make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. I'm coming to you guys so comfortable right now. I got my Marvel shirt on, my crop top. Bitch, let me show you. Get into it. Get into it. And I'm wearing one of my unfinished projects. I bleached the hat and then I didn't put any embroidering or anything on it yet. I'm thinking about painting over this. I just don't know yet. I'm back at you guys with another video. The last video that I put up was about taking dick. And it took me forever to even start and make this one and put this one out. But I really have just been trying to figure out what kind of platform I want to build for myself. And one of the biggest things that I realized is that I don't want to build a platform of just showing you guys my ass. Because I just don't fucking know what I want to do with my life. I don't know what I want to do with anything. You know what? Wait a minute. I'll be back. I had to get some pizza rolls too because I'm hungry. That's hot. I don't know why I always eat them right after the microwave. I need to let them cool off a little bit. That's better. You know, I think about just growing up gay, growing up black, especially growing up gay and black in the 90s and early 2000s, before you see a wave of a lot of LGBTQ people being represented in media and movies and TV shows. I grew up in a time where you really didn't see that. So for me, I grew up with things and seeing things like Queer as Folk. I don't know if you guys know what Queer as Folk is, but Queer as Folk was something that I had to sneak and watch. And funny thing about that, I was watching Queer as Folk on the Logo network. It got to the point where I think my mom did find out that I was watching Queer as Folk, and she blocked it. Fucking just, pissed me the fuck off. I thought I had something that I can connect to and watch, and then it got blocked. And yeah, it got blocked because it was mature. That was still a opportunity for me to see something that was a representation of what I was feeling and what I was, you know, what I am. So you really never seen a lot of those kinds of shows on television. So to go from that to being 26 now in 2020 and having so many different representations of the LGBTQ community is a complete wow factor for me. Like, I'm shocked and I'm amazed and I'm actually excited to see that because I know that that does nothing but makes it easier for the next generation to come, right? Which is my point, my inspiration for this video, somebody that I'll get to at the end of the video. Just stay tuned and keep up. I always have this picture sitting by me because it just reminds me, if you look really close, I'm the one in the red sweatshirt. Y'all can see that, right? Y'all can see that. Okay. Anyway, I knew at a very young age I was gay. I didn't know what it was to be gay, but I knew that a lot of the feelings and emotions that I was having were not that of what the other boys were feeling and experiencing. I wanted to know what other boys' PPs looked like. I wanted to know what they were for. I started to have feelings and questions about why I was feeling different and you know, especially when it came to the emotions and my attraction. I think the biggest point that I want to make is that there was absolutely no one that I could go to have those questions answered or to at least have the conversation about what I was feeling. There was no one. And this obviously was before the big rush and push of social media and technology and cell phones and things like that. I didn't have anybody. What I do remember though, I'm gonna be a little bit blunt, or a little, you know, kind of TVMA for a second. I remember fooling around with kids my age, a couple of them. One of them was my best friend back then, doing things with them and not even really understanding what I was doing then, but knowing that what I was doing was something that I liked and not really even getting any pleasure from what I was doing. But, you know, that kind of answers the question of people always ask me how do you know and when do you know and all these things. You know, I feel like you know at a very, 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 very young age. I feel like you know when you come out the womb, honestly. But you start to become challenged with the reactions and actions of society and how they act towards you for who you feel like you are. And that is where the true conflict comes in, because here you are, you're a child who not only do you not have anybody to go to about your feelings and things as such, but you have to start to deal with the backlash and the actions of how your family's acting and how others around you act. So here you are. Here you are being shaped unconsciously by the people around you and how they're acting around you. Some family members knew and would always make jokes about it to my mother. It just got to a point where out of the 1% chance that you would see two men in a movie kissing, their comments after you saw that. You're laying there as a kid and you know you like that. You know you're into those two men kissing because that's a representation of what you're feeling, right? But comments such like, ooh, that's disgusting. I don't know why any two men or anybody would want to be gay, or that's not normal, or they're going to hell. God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. I remember that comment a lot. Those comments, actions and reactions of other people are the ones that shaped me and made me want to go further into a shell, prolonging the time it's taken for me to come to terms with who I really am. Now, as an adult, I'm trying to figure out who I am. When, as a child, you're supposed to be doing that. You're supposed to, as a child, to be growing into yourself so you can have a less stressful and less frustrating experience as an adult. But here I am hearing all these things from, from family, and not only family, but I remember getting comments from people that I went to school with. They called me gay. And this is before I even really understood what gay was, but they would call me gay because my belt would hang out just a little bit, just like probably like 6 inches longer than my waist, but it would hang out the loop and it would just swing. I thought I was a bad bitch. I didn't give a fuck. I said, this is cute. Like, I don't give a fuck. It's cute. But the other dudes will call me gay because of that. My voice obviously has never changed pitch. I'm not forcing it up. I'm not forcing it down. This is where my voice naturally sits. I got picked on for that. And I feel like even if I were a straight man, if I were a heterosexual man, my voice would still be this high. But I would get called gay for that. I would also get called gay for how fat my ass is. That has nothing to do with me. I didn't choose for my ass to be as big as it is, but that was another thing that it gave people something to pick at. They would say that I would purposely force my butt out and make it, no bitch, this is just how this bitch sit. This is country thick, like it's greens, grits, biscuits for breakfast and shit like that. Being collard greens, fried chicken, that's where this comes from. And me liking to eat, that's where that comes from. But I feel like kids know who they are. The way that people react to them and to how they are is what causes them to change either for the better or for the worse. So a kid will either say, fuck you, this is who I am. And we see a lot of children that I admire so much do that these days. Like I said in the video before, Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade's daughter, E.J. Johnson, Magic Johnson's son, and the list actually goes on. It goes on, but those are just the ones that come right to my head automatically, as in children who said, fuck you, this is who I am, and chose to stand tall and stand proud, and that's admirable. It's our responsibility as individuals to tell the world who we are, and to tell the world how we feel like we should be respected, right? But when the world is coming back at you with disrespect, that causes you, through your growth, to find different ways. Either you're going to fight or flight. Either you're going to be the one that stands up and says, fuck you, this is who I am, or you're going to be the one that hides yourself in order to make other people comfortable. I chose the route of hiding. When it came to certain people, they knew who I was. I mean, 1 or 2 friends. And most importantly, I'll get into the relationship I had with my cousin Janae. We were at my grandmother's house, right? And she was laying up on the couch and I was laying down on the floor. I remember something about how it came up that I don't know if she kind of, I'm not trying to tell her business, but wait. Listen, I don't know how it came up about gay. I don't know. But, so gay conversation that came up earlier that day. We were falling asleep, and we would talk ourselves to sleep. You know how it is as a kid. You would fall asleep talking about random shit, about TV shows or whatever. The TV's off, it's dark, but we're still talking. We're still up. And I remember I just rolled over and I said, Janae. And then she said, what? And I was just like, and this was like early. This was like, I was probably like in 7th, 8th grade. And I was just like, Janae. She was like, what? And her eyes weren't even open. She was just falling asleep. And I was just like, what'd you say if I said I was gay? And then she like opens her eyes and she looks at me. She was just like, I wouldn't judge you. I don't really care. And it was something along the lines of that. In my mind, the relief that came over me just knowing that I had an ally in my family that ended up keeping my secret until I was ready to fully come out in high school. I will always have the utmost respect for someone like that. And I will always have a spot in my heart for her. That made me and her in our relationship that much tighter. It was somebody that, you making jokes, you know what I mean? Like, we talking about who cute in school or whatever. I'm not saying it to nobody else, but I'm always going to like Janae, look at him, or like, damn, he fine as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, but I can't. I wasn't able to say that to anybody else. So it's things like that that gets a child through. It was with her that I was able to be vulnerable. But that was my first ally. The two people that have been there throughout my entire progression of myself, and not just speaking about sexuality, have been my two brothers, Terry and Jarrell. I want to bring them up and make sure that I let you guys know about them because my brothers have autism. Growing up, we all shared a room. Me, Terry, and Jarrell shared a room from the time that I was born all the way up until the time that I graduated high school and moved out to college. And the love that I've gotten from them and the love that I continue to get from them is a love like no other. They taught me how to love someone other than myself. They taught me how to be appreciative, and they taught me in a lot of ways how to forgive people. They love very blindly. The goggles and the glasses that society uses to judge you every single day, they don't wear them motherfuckers at all. They're very forgiving individuals, and that is something that I will always cherish. I will always cherish the fact that God put those two individuals in my life. It's the same way that people can talk about them and they don't give a fuck. It does not bother them whatsoever. And if it does, they don't show it, or they don't show it in a way that I would understand if it did. Is what I till this day am trying to do with other people that I bump paths with, that I cross paths with and rub shoulders with. Trying to forgive people for the shit they say to you when you know that what they're saying is not true, but it hurts. Trying to still forgive those people is something that I have learned and seen them do so many times. I used to get so mad when people would talk about them, like, bitch, you don't know them, and you're judging them, but you don't know them. You know what I mean? They don't give a fuck. They don't. It doesn't bother them. The joy that they can still have within themselves, and the way that they're blinded to some of the things that people can say is a way that I want to be more. I would like to be more like that. Because that, you have more joy and more happiness. You're less worried about what the fuck somebody is saying and more worried about just enjoying your life. And not only that, but they care about me so much. I am their baby brother, and I will forever be their baby brother. I don't want to cry. Ooh, bitch, I do not want to cry. I will forever be their baby brother, and I understand that. And I know that the way that people view me is not the way that they do. That is a love that I only appreciate God gave me. I will never get that love from anyone else. They love me unconditionally. That support system is an important thing for someone in the LGBTQ community as they're growing up, because without it, a child is not going to do anything but feel like they have to run and hide themselves. And when they do that, it doesn't do anything but slow down their process of becoming a successful adult, right? Let's talk a little bit about my mother. Me and my mother's relationship has been through so many different things. But I have to say that today, her and I are so close. At first, she reacted in a very in a very way, as in that's not, God doesn't accept that and this and that. But I think that her hurt for me is the hurt that she knows and that she knew that I would go through from dealing with other people. I'm a mama's boy. I love my mama. And I call her mommy. That's my mommy. I love my mommy. And I know she loves me. And like I said, we've been through so much together, and what we've been through has done nothing but show that we are like this. Because I was always under her as a kid. And then you go through your teenage stuff. Here I am going through my teenage stuff and my hormones and my figuring out my sexuality and all this stuff and dealing with high school and going to college and all this stuff. And that's the wedge that comes in between you. But as I got older, I realized that parents don't always have all the tools to raise children. And here she is just trying to raise me as best as she can without a man in the household to help her, right? And a lot of her hurt when she found out that I was gay, or when I told her, and when it became a reality for her, is the fact that she didn't want me to have to deal with all the bullshit that everybody else was going to give me for being gay. I feel like she could care less, and I feel like she may still be uncomfortable in some situations and in certain ways with it sometimes, but it's a way that any parent that is willing to try with their kid that is that does fall into that LGBTQ community is gonna go through. You know what I mean? Especially depending on how they were raised in their family. And I would have to say that for someone who is she had me at 27, I'm 26. You do the math. I ain't about to put her age out there like that because I love you, mommy. I ain't gonna do that. But for someone who had me at 27, I'm 26. Do the math. The way that she was raised and being born back, in the 60s, she's still trying. You know what I mean? And I think that my love for her grows stronger every day because of that. Because even though you may not fully agree with it, you're still willing to accept me and love on me. Like it doesn't even matter, because it really doesn't. And that's my business, who I'm laying with. Yo, I mean, let me not make jokes, right? Because if she end up watching this one day. But for real, it's my business who I lay with, but she still is willing to try with me, and that is what I respect. For example, I got into this phase. I haven't painted my nails in a very long time. But for a while, I was starting to paint my nails because I thought it was cute, and I liked how the nail polish looked on my fingers, and I feel like, that's a phase in my life where I was going through sexuality, gender expression, and things like that. It's not black or white. There's a lot of gray area because it's just a lot. You know what I mean? But I was painting my nails, and she, at a certain point, I could see that it could make her uncomfortable. And then after doing it a couple times, she just said, fuck it. It got to a point where I was even looking at her nail polishes and painting my nails. And that kind of love, the love where you're willing to try and continue to try in a relationship, just because you love that person so much, even though you might not agree with exactly what they're doing, you still love them. Like, I'm pushing her. Even though she's getting older, I'm pushing her and challenging her in her way of thought. The way that she's reacting from how I'm expressing myself as a black man is nothing. She's not showing me anything but love. Even though she might not agree with it fully. I think that it clicked in her head that I'm still her baby, and regardless of how and what, she still loves me. That's something that a kid needs. They just need that. They need that relentless love, that unconditional love. That's what they need, right? No, I didn't really have anybody that could help me when it came to the LGBTQ conversations and conversations about sex and stuff like that. And I say sex because that is a whole nother video in itself, baby. A whole nother video in itself. And I'm not talking about taking dick. I'm just talking about the conversation that you got to have with your kids about being safe, and the things that people will say to get in your pants, and the simple fact that if you're not talking to your kids about it, they're going to go and try to figure it out on their own. And that's where you got problems. When you don't talk to your kids about sex, you know what they do? They go and they try to figure that shit out on their own. The funny thing with society, and the funny thing with the world is that there are obvious things that people pick at. Sexuality, religious background, cultural beliefs and background, nationality. You see that a lot in America with how we treat other people from different countries. Just stuff like that. It's important that you always remain unique. And also, the more motherfucker talk about you, that shit true. If you ain't got haters, you ain't popping. What y'all know? I don't know exactly what he said, but if the haters ain't talking, you ain't popping, some shit like that. And no, the goal is not to be having your name in people's mouth. But if you're doing you, 100%, and niggas still got something to say, then honestly, you have to be a showstopper. You have to be something that's admirable. Because there's no other reason that somebody would pay so much attention to you when all you're doing is being yourself. It's so easy to try to fit in with everyone else, but when you do that, you dim your light. You dim your light, and you're not offering the world what the world needs from you when you do that, because you're worried about what the next bitch think. And it's not about what the next bitch think. I realize now that everybody walking this motherfucking earth has something to work on. And it might not be your sexuality. Yeah, you can be a heterosexual man or woman, but there's something else you got going on with you that needs some work. You know what I mean? Even with that, taking that and learning how to use that attention is something that takes time. And using it in a good way, not using it in a bad way. But with that attention, with that platform you have, with just being yourself, what are you going to choose to do with it? I think that I look back at it now, the things that were obvious, and there were things that weren't obvious, but people still use those excuses just to call me gay. Like I said, the pitch of my voice, the sway of my hips, how I like to dress, things like that. You got to think of it this way. A child would take the time to hide themselves, to make themselves more relatable and able to be dealt with by other people, if that makes any sense. Maybe I'm being too wordy, but keep up, bitch, keep up. They're still gonna have more problems as an adult than they do as a child. Because as a child, they're learning how to make everybody else happy. But as you get older, what do? You try to learn how to make your fucking self happy, right? So that quote, I always think about it. It's easier to raise strong men than to repair. Damn, what is it? Fuck. I got the quote in here somewhere. Wait a minute, y'all, because I want to make sure. Girl, what is that quote? I'm about to be mad. I'm about to be so mad. It's easier to raise a strong child than to have to repair a broken man. And that's not the exact quote, but y'all know what I mean. To raise a strong child and let that person grow into a strong individual is way better than having that child have to go back in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, if they're blessed to live that long, and have to repair all of that mental damage that they put on themselves by trying to please other people. That makes a lot of sense, right? And the reason I bring that up is because I'm doing that now. I'm having to look at a lot of the hurt and things that I've been put through as a child, whether it be me camouflaging myself to fit in, and I have to start breaking that shit down in my head to rebuild myself so I can be strong enough to raise children of my own. Also breaking down the things that I've been conditioned in ways that I've been conditioned to act, right? And it takes time. And that's why now I try to go back in history and see all of the other great Black, gay, African-American men that have existed. The one that sticks out to me the most is Bayard Rustin. Bayard Rustin, and I will always rep Bayard Rustin, was Martin Luther King's right-hand man. Bayard Rustin was the one who believed in a non-violent approach to protests. He organized the Million Man March, right? But do you hear about him as much as you hear about MLK? So my thing is, not seeing visuals of myself, Black, gay, male, not seeing that growing up made me believe that I was weak, and that there was no one else that came before me that was like me. But knowing that history, knowing that there are others, and understanding that and having that representation, going back and finding that history lets me know that, bitch, I'm just as powerful as the next motherfucker. And that's something that you have to internalize. You have to understand that. And like I said, going back and breaking down how you're conditioned and then rebuilding yourself to be stronger is what a lot of us as adults have to do. So we have to spend time doing what we should have been spending time doing as a kid, doing it in our adult years. And that is the problem. That is where, if you don't get it, the cycle can continue and the culture can continue of either poverty and a lot of different things. You know what I mean? If you don't go back and think about, how you've been conditioned, then you're going to be stuck in the same shit, whether you like it or not. Growing up gay, growing up Black and gay was not easy. It was not easy for a multitude of reasons. And no, life is not meant to be easy, but it was a lot of hiding and feeling like I was less than and being afraid to be me. It was lying to myself and lying to so many other people just to make them feel comfortable with their interaction with me, right? Alexander Love now knows that the person that I did not see, the person that I did not get a chance to talk to when I had questions about things, is a person that I now need to be for another child or another person that has questions, right? And I needed to learn that, and I'm still learning that. It's the journey is not over. Dear Julian, this video is for you, my young king. What I want you to remember is that you must know what you want in life, who you are, and who came before you, and that there is no rush in figuring it all out. You're already on the right path of marching to the beat of your own little LGBTQ drums. If you ever feel alone and feel like you don't have anybody to talk to, or you feel like there's no one that understands, just remember, you have an amazing mother, sister, and a huge support system of sissies who love you no matter what. Those same sissies can fight, by the way, okay? Self-love and healing takes a long fucking time. Better get started. Marsha P. Johnson, Bayard Rustin, James Baldwin, Alvin Ailey, Phil Wilson, Willie Ninja, Alfonso David. I am because you were. I am proud. I am black. I am gay.
Like